Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. I would like to call this meeting to order. This is the meeting of the Bamberg School District 1 Board of Trustees meeting. Today's date is January the 19th at 6:30 p.m. And you all have an agenda in front of you. You've had the opportunity to receive it and review it in advance. What is the pleasure of the board with regards to approval of the agenda?
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
All right, we have a motion on the floor that we approve the agenda as it's been presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion on the floor and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, if you're in favor, please signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, the ayes have it, and the motion passes. Item number 3 on the agenda is approval of the minutes, and that's from November 17th of 2021, as well as November 22nd of 2021. You have all had the opportunity to receive and review it prior to tonight's meeting. What is the pleasure of the board with regards to approval of these minutes?
Madam Chairman, if there are no amendments to the minutes, we accept them as presented.
All right, we have a motion on the floor that we accept the minutes as presented. I'm assuming there's no changes or amendments. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion on the floor and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, if you're in favor of approval of the minutes, please signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, the ayes have it for the approval of the minutes of November 17th and November 22nd of 2021. We are down to item number 4, which is 2022 School Board Recognition and Review of the Ethical Principles. And I'll turn it over to you. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Everyone's healthy and well. At this time, I would like to recognize and present Mr. Tony Duncan for his years of service, serving on the school board. And I would like to point out, he is being presented with a certificate and his letter of recognition and his pin for 15 years of
I
service.
finally got one.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I
Mr.
finally got one.
You did.
Okay.
Congratulations.
I used to get jealous and Janice and these are coming on me.
You got your opinion to wear it.
You got one now.
Yeah, I got one.
It's a
Well,
long time.
congratulations.
Congratulations, well deserved. Okay, and as you know, each year, the South Carolina School Board Association reminds us all when it's School Board Appreciation Month. I would like to take a moment to let you know that the little Circes, you see the plants on your tables, are from the school district to all of you. It's just a small token of our appreciation for your service to our school district. So those are yours to keep.
Thank you. They're beautiful.
Thank you.
Also, ethical principles. It is time to renew ethical principles and pledge as board members that you will abide by the ethics set forth in your ethical principles as board members of Bamberg School District 1. And as you know, they send us a poster copy that we obtain all the signatures on. They also send paper copies, which we have put in your packets. And as is tradition in Bamberg School District 1, we typically do a round robin where each one of you state your affirmations and pledges back to these ethics. So I'll let Ms. Walker decide how she wants to start. And
Okay. Well, we can start with Board Member and Vice Chair John, and we can just kind of go around until we have made it to the very bottom.
Okay.
So,
All right, I'll take the first one.
I'm sorry, Mr. Hurst. I'm going to pass this to Ms. Mooney. She has a pen, and at the end of the board meeting, we can get pictures of all of you signing the poster that'll be publicly displayed in our
Okay.
school district.
So before you start, if we can all just read the very top portion that's in bold so that we don't have to reread it every time we get to one of the principles. If you are ready to do that on the count of 2, ready? 1, 2. As a member of the district school board, I pledge my efforts to improve public education in my community and will solemnly try to
represent the interests of the entire district when making decisions and to rely on available facts and on our judgment rather than on individual and special interest groups.
understand the proper role of the board to set policies governing the district and to hire the chief administrative officer to carry out these policies.
Encourage an open exchange of ideas by all board members during the decision-making process.
Seek regular communications between the board and students, staff, and all segments of the community.
Attend all board meetings to study issues facing the board and to enact policies and official actions only after full discussion at such meetings.
Work with other board members in a conscientious and courteous manner, befitting the public trust placed in the position of school board trustee.
Communicate concerns and public reaction to board policies and school programs to the superintendent and other board members in a professional manner.
Support employment of the persons best qualified for staff positions and to ensure a regular and impartial evaluation of all staff.
Avoid conflicts of interest and to refrain from using my board position for personal or partisan gain.
Encourage recognition of the achievements of students and staff and of the involvement of the community residents.
Support legislation and funding which will improve the educational opportunities and environment for students and staff.
Take no individual action which would compromise the integrity of the board or administration, and to respect the confidentiality of information that is privileged under the Freedom of Information Act.
Study current educational issues and to participate in training programs such as those offered through the South Carolina School Boards Association, and
Make our district's educational setting the best possible to encourage all students to achieve and to love learning.
All right. There you have it.
And as I said, Ms. Mooney will get all of your signatures on the poster for a group photo following our board meeting, if everybody will remain a moment to get that done.
Okay. All right, next up, we have item number 5, which is school reports. And the principals are not here due to keeping down with contact. So I will turn it over to Ms. Brown.
Yes, ma'am. So you have in your packets school reports provided by Mr. Denny Omer for Bamberg High School, Ms. Denise Miller for Bamberg Middle School, and Dr. Chastity Evans for Richard Carroll Elementary School. They've included the current school enrollment, COVID information, discipline, and any other highlights that they felt like was important to share with you guys. And if you have any questions about the school reports rather than speak for them, they've encouraged me to let all of you know. You can email them at any time or call them with any questions.
Okay, I see that we have a corrected version for the middle school, and it simply just appears that item number 2 that deals with the confirmed COVID cases associated with that particular school, that those numbers have changed.
Yes.
So I noticed that change.
And I
Okay.
was going to mention that in my superintendent's report. These were provided for you all last week, and as you know, I kept in constant contact with our board chair about COVID conditions when we had to go virtual. They were changing by the day. Today, I obtained updated information from all the schools so that the corrected copy of the COVID conditions, the reports that you have, was as of today, around 1 or 2 o'clock this afternoon.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have the athletic updates, which is item number 6, and I will turn that over to Mrs. Brown.
Okay, your athletic report was provided by Mr. Robert Williams, our athletic director. As you can see, girls' basketball teams stats, boys' basketball team stats, and our wrestling stats. We're continuing to move forward as best we can in COVID conditions right now. He's provided to you our teams that we've played so far and our games that we've played. Please note that some of our games have been canceled, not by us, but by the opposing teams. Some schools, when they go virtual, do not participate in sports, and some teams were in quarantine. So lots of things impacting who we're playing, when we're playing them, games being moved, games being made up. So we're trying to get games in as best we can. But this was current as of last Thursday, and we have been able to play. I believe the girls and boys played last night. Our boys have gone to play tonight. So a few of this has changed. But if you have any questions, you can certainly contact Mr. Williams or any of the head coaches.
Okay, thank you very much.
COVID is impacting all of us.
That it is. Down to item number 7, which is the student staff recognition and superintendent's report, and I will turn that back over to you.
Okay. So I had on my list to recognize again Mr. Tony Duncan for his 15 years of dedicated service to our school board, the school district, our employees, our staff, and our community. Thank you, Mr. Duncan, for your service. I would also like to take the time to recognize, as of today in the T&D paper, and I'm just going to read this. I tried to print out a copy with you guys, but my printer was not cooperating to enlarge it. But I would like to recognize that today the Coaches Association lists the Palmetto champions. The South Carolina Football Coaches Association released its Palmetto champions Tuesday. The annual list honors top backs, linemen, specialists, and coaches from each classification. Bamberg head coach Robert Williams was named Lower State Coach of the Year in Class A. Williams led the Red Raiders to a 13-1 record and a Class A Lower State championship. Bamberg advanced to its first state championship appearance since 2017.
Wow.
So I'd like to recognize Coach Robert Williams for achieving Lower State Coach of the Year. I would also like to recognize some of our teachers who wrote grants and was awarded these grants by Savannah Riverside. These are called mini grant winners. I'd like to recognize at this time and congratulate Ms. Contrilla Anderson was awarded $1,000. Morgan Busby was awarded $750. Ms. Blanche Johnson, $1,000. The Bamberg School District 1's teaching staff was awarded a total of $2,750 from Savannah Riverside to support programs that they're initiating in their classrooms. So congratulations to these teachers. I already explained your corrected enrollment copies and your COVID cases. You have this, Ms. Moody, placed on your desk because I want to get up-to-date numbers for you today. I provided for you our 3-year district enrollment trends, but I also I changed up a little bit this month. I've also provided you the 3-year trends for Bamberg School District 2 as we're moving forward to consolidation. I felt like that's good information to share with both districts. So last night I provided them with our numbers. Tonight I'm providing you guys with their numbers.
Great. Okay.
Okay. And I would also like to recognize at this time, I tell you, our staff and our students are working so hard. But this month, you have a copy in your packets, the Ffa Magazine. That is led by our teacher, Ms. Morgan Busby. Her students were highlighted in that magazine. And given the thousands of schools that participate in that, that is quite an honor to be featured in that magazine. So I wanted you guys to have a copy and congratulate Ms. Busby for the hard work that they're doing. And in your packets, lots of information. South Carolina DHEC has changed their COVID guidance twice in the last 5 days for school districts. And I wanted to provide you with the most current version. It was released on Saturday, January the 15th. This is the current guidance that we are abiding by as far as quarantining and isolating timelines. And if you have any questions, you can contact me or ask me or contact any of our school nurses. But I know that sometimes parents call you guys with questions, so you can have this book as a reference to go by. I've also had our IT director, Mr. Paget, make sure that this is posted on all of our websites and all of our forums are updated the minute these come out.
Did you say that was in our package?
Yes, it should be.
Okay.
You should have.
That, right
Okay,
there.
very
It's a
good, very
book.
good, okay. My bad.
And as you may have heard, the major change in this, reducing the quarantine timelines,
Right.
so that schools can maintain operations without losing staff that impede with our operation, which is exactly what happened to us last week when we had to go virtual. We can't operate our schools when we don't have custodians, cafeteria workers, teachers, and administrators. So, this is gonna help us out, I hope, but know that if they change the guidance tomorrow, I will be emailing all of you out an updated version.
Okay, sounds good. Are we moving down to number 8, or are you still working on your report?
I think that's it.
Okay.
That covers everything in the
All right.
superintendent's report.
All right, well then we will move down to item number 8, which is consolidation updates, and that would be again with you, Ms. Pruitt.
Okay, and as you all know, we're still kind of where we were when we left in November. And of course, we didn't have a meeting in December. We are still awaiting the next step will be planning a board meeting to swear in the appointed board members for the new consolidated district. So we should be hearing about that real soon.
Okay. Item number 9, which is shared services updates, again, for you.
Yeah, this gets kind of redundant every month, doesn't it? So we're still sharing all the services that we were sharing starting off the school year, including myself, the assistant superintendent, our finance director, our technology director, our food services director, and our technology coach. So that's still going well. And we're moving closer to consolidation.
All right. We are down to item number 10, which is the 2021 Bamberg School District 1 audit. Mr. Neil Kreider with McGregor and Company. I'll turn that over to you, sir.
All right, I hope you all are doing well.
Yes, sir.
Doing good.
I'm tired of COVID. I'm so tired of it. It's been a rough year.
Yes.
Over 2 years. I feel like I was just here yesterday. I mean, this year, 2021 went by so fast. And here we are, cheetah speed into 22.
Right.
Let's go ahead and get this checked off the agenda. So I'll start by reading a few statements from our audit report. It says there, our responsibility as your auditor is to express opinions on these financial statements based on our audit. We conducted our audit in accordance with auditing standards generally accepted in the United States of America. And those standards require that we plan and perform the audit to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements are free from material misstatement. And we believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our audit opinions. And in our opinion, the financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects. Therefore, we issue an unmodified opinion or clean opinion on the financial statements. We did not report any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies related to internal control over financial reporting. For fiscal year 21, the district met the criteria for qualifying as a low-risk auditee. This reflects on the good job the district has done over the last few years with its internal controls. And this also means that we as auditors can put more reliance on the district's internal controls over financial reporting and compliance and reduce the amount of testing over major programs. However, with the influx of the ESSER funds, and that being a new, large program, we had to consider that a high-risk program. And also, the food service became large enough this past year with all the meal distribution that we also had to consider it a high-risk program. So with all that said, we were required, based on our standards, to do more work than would have been necessary in a normal year based on this low-risk determination. So I can blame that on COVID, right? So it's much needed funds the district got to recover. But yes, it did kind of throw a wrench in the mix of what we were doing because we were excited. We qualified for this low-risk auditee status, but unfortunately we did have to test these funds because they were new, they were large. We wanted to make sure that everything was done right with them. So we identified and tested food service, and ESSER, which is the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund, part of the CARES Act. We tested those two as major programs this year. And we issue a clean opinion on compliance for those two major programs. We did not report any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies related to internal control over major programs. And we also did not note any major compliance findings on those major programs tested. Now, several years ago, the State Department of Education began requiring districts to maintain an unassigned fund balance equal to 30 days of operations. And the district fell short of this mark last year, FY20, but recovered this year, 21, in maintaining an unassigned fund balance. And that fund balance, rather than being 30, is actually about 40 days of operations now. So we did pick that up and did do better. And I'll get into more detail on that a little bit later. There's a separate letter, other matters, that you should have. Nothing new here. This is what we've been reporting on for the last, I'm not sure how many years, good many years here. But this is where we communicate certain matters that are opportunities for strengthening internal controls and operating efficiency. So there remain many negative balances in these pupil activity accounts, and those are listed in there. So I just encourage the district to try to get these resolved this year ahead of moving into consolidation. The consolidated district, which is going to happen July 1st. So this will provide a fresh start for these activity funds. And we did a little bit of proposing journal entries to clean up books with certain things that have been sitting out there, small amounts. So we did some things to kind of get ready for that, clean up the books. But this here is still something management's going to have to take care of going into this new district. All right, just a brief financial analysis. The general fund finished with an increase in fund balance of $405,800. So that brings it to $1,387,158. As far as long-term debt, the IRS subsidized $990,150 in interest on the qualified school construction bonds this year. And the district paid $393,112 out-of-pocket interest on these bonds. The balance of the sinking principal fund was $10,796,995 at June 30th, 21. And this fund will continue to increase and be used to pay the balloon payment that's coming up in 2027 of $20 million on those bonds. And the funds that are sitting in that account also generate income, so they generate investment earnings. And for fiscal year 2021, they generated $329,419. Early in the fiscal year, the 9 million Build America bonds were refunded, which is essentially a refinance to take advantage of the low interest rates. So that was in July. And even though the district's going to lose that subsidy that the IRS had with it, this transaction is going to save the district to be exact, $2,161,853 over the life of the bond. So a lot of savings with that refinance down to the lower interest rates. And, as you know, there's still a great deal of uncertainty surrounding COVID with the new variants that are out there that seem to keep popping up, and just the volume of cases. So, I would not want your jobs right now and all the decisions you have to make. But from my perspective, from an overall audit standpoint, the district had another solid year.
Great.
So, any questions for me? Well, as you go, have a contact where to find me. If you have questions that come up throughout the year, you always feel free to call me.
Okay.
issues, concerns, I'm there.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Appreciate it very much.
Since we're so close to the end of the agenda, I might just sit and hear the finance report.
I'll say a lot.
Y'all get ready to go to executive session? Okay.
Well, that turns us over to item number 11, which is the monthly finance report. And I will turn that over to Ms. Firth.
Neil doesn't need to get too excited because I don't talk a lot, but anyway. You have in your packets the financial report for both November and December. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. We have talked about those people activity accounts. We did try to clean some of them up, but there are a lot. So I guess since Neil's here, if it's a pleasure of the board, we can go ahead and make the entries, because we'd already talked already this year about making the entries, clean those out completely. So if it's a pleasure of the board, we'll go ahead and make those entries to zero all those accounts out before we move into consolidation,
Correct.
because they'll have to be cleaned out at that point.
Yeah.
Okay. We have to make a motion about that?
You want us to talk about and doing that tonight? You want a motion to,
That would be great, so then we could go ahead and get it done
okay, well,
before the next board meeting.
what was that total amount?
I don't think I have the total, but I can find it.
No, you got it in the audit.
And again, these have accumulated for years and years.
They've been,
Years and years.
I've been here for almost 24 years, and if I remember correctly, this has been in the audit for that many. It was
Right.
here before I mean, it was here when I came, and it's still, I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's just one of those things where there's just not enough filtered over to athletics to cover all of it.
So if you will turn to page 85, these student activity funds are now reported in a different spot on the financials. They are, used to be in their separate statement, but there's a statement, as you see in one of the letters there, there's a statement 84 that came out that changed where that was gonna be reported, so now it's part of the special revenue fund. So at the bottom of 85, next to the last column, you'll see at the top, student activity funds.
Mhm.
And when you come all the way down to the bottom, you see 69,000, 662. If my eyes are working,
They are.
they're getting a little bit older. That's the amount that would have to be transferred in to square those accounts up. So that's that sheet, the other matters letter, this is a summary of those.
Okay.
So if we were to add up all the negative balances, we should come up to that figure there.
Okay. And we're paying this from where?
Out of that 405,000 we just added, we would just take the 69 out of there. I'm
That's the
sorry.
general fund? That's
It
transferred
has to
the
come out of the general
fund?
fund. Yes, ma'am.
All right. And does that put us in any negative light with regards to making sure that we stay at least 30 days? What does that do?
Well, we're making some other changes out of ESER 2 and 3,
Okay,
so we should still be fine.
okay,
And then, I'm sorry, I can't talk. And so then when we move in consolidation, all of that's going away anyway to one account.
gotcha, okay. All right, well, you have heard about the student balances that has been on the books. I know certainly for as long as I've been on the board, and like you said, they were here when you got here, and they are still here. What is the pleasure of the board with regards to providing our finance department with a clean slate of this amount that so far it appears to be $69,662? What's the pleasure of the board with regards to zeroing that out? I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, make a motion that we zero balance the 69,662, so that we can have a clean slate.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion on the floor and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, if you're in favor of this, please signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, the ayes have it. Please proceed. Next on the item is visitors' comments. Due to COVID concerns, we do not have any visitors here at our meeting, so we will move down onto item number 13, which is executive session. What is the pleasure of the board with regards to going into executive session?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss item A, personnel recommendation for resignations, B, personal recommendation for hire, C, student transfer request with all three if needed.
All right, we have a motion on the floor that we move into executive session. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, if you're in favor that we move into executive session, please signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, the ayes have it. We will move into executive session to discuss personnel recommendations for resignations if needed, personnel recommendation for hires if needed, and student transfer requests if needed. We are now in executive session. All right, I will entertain a motion that we come out of executive session.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we come out of executive session.
All right, we have a motion on the floor that we come out of executive session. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. If you're in favor of coming out of executive session, please signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, the ayes have it. We are now out of executive session, and we are down to item number 14, which is action on executive session items if needed.
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve personnel recommendations for resignations or termination for employees 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and personnel recommendation for hire for employees 1 and 2.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, if you're in favor of this motion, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the ayes have it, and the motion passes. We're now down to item number 15, which is to adjourn the meeting. If you all are interested in going home, I will entertain a motion that we do so.
Madam Chairman, I move that we adjourn the meeting.
We have a motion on the floor to adjourn. Second?
Second.
Second? Any discussion? Hearing none, if you're in favor of adjourning the meeting, please signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, the ayes have it, and this meeting is adjourned.
What kind of plane is this?